New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Your hosts are two girls who believe that life is awesome, that laughter heals, and that it's possible to find deep spiritual insights in everyday experience.
Here come the girls. It's more than practical. Here come the girls. Way more than merely factual. If you want to know the secrets of a life that's free, listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
Hello, and welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. I am Robyn Rice, and that is my partner, Dr. Natasha Wilson.
And I am here.
Yes, every now and then you'll hear delays or you'll think what happened, but we are on two different sides of the earth, opposite sides of the earth. So every now and then the stars don't align, or they do, and it just doesn't look the way we want them to. However you make that happen in your mind. So Natasha is joining us from Australia, and I am in New Mexico. So worlds apart, and yet so close.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. How you doing today, Robyn? I feel like I just saw you.
It was nice, actually, though, right? Natasha and I, it's really hard to have time together because of the time difference. And so, like, we have meetings and we're like, okay, I have 12 minutes. I have 7 minutes, and we never really, but we just, because Natasha's clock was off, we actually had almost an hour.
I know. Yeah, it was good. It was good. It's almost like, man, if we could have just recorded that hour, that could have been the show.
It could have been. So we have gone from talking about mold to consciousness to claiming and naming and defaming consciousness. We've done all kinds of things in our pre-ramble, and we decided we should share it with you. So we'll see where that takes us today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're joining us for the first time, please let us know where you're joining from. Put it in the chat just so we can acknowledge you and say hello. And if you're not joining us for the first time, well, welcome back. And we'd love to hear from you as well. So generally, we start the show by pulling a card because, as Girls Behaving Metaphysically, we're always looking for the sign. Every time I say that, I want to bust into a song about, I saw the sign. That song. I opened up my eyes. Yeah. So anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to pull a card. What deck do you have there that we're using?
So I have the cosmic reading cards. Yeah. Because tarot, I don't know. All right. So do you want to tell me when to stop? Or
I will.
Okay. There were two poking out. Okay. Tell me when.
Okay, stop.
Oh, so the card that came is a card that says shine.
Mm-hmm.
Shine. Now, because I have not worked with this deck very much, I'm going to see what this means. So shine. For you, not only light your path, but the path of others around you. If you have selected this card, Spirit encourages you to shine your extraordinary radiant light. You
Mm.
have traveled a long road full of experiences that consisted of reservations and uncertainty of self. Now you find yourself inspired, motivated, and ignited with a sense of purpose and passion. Limitations of the mind that once kept you bound have been released, and you are now ready to take the next step. It is time, dear one, to follow your heart's true calling and sing your unique song. Spirit thanks you for having the courage to step away from the crowd despite the caution of the mind. The more you build on your creative passion, the brighter your light will shine. Not only will your surroundings transform to reflect your increasing vibration, please, Lord, please, from my lips to God's ears, okay? Okay? Not only will your surroundings transform to reflect your increasing vibration, but many around you will be inspired by your achievements and personal growth. Just by following your heart and doing what you love best, you will assist humanity in raising its planetary light. Okay, that part is really sticking out to me. Some may become envious of your accomplishments and success, whatever. That's like par for the course. But don't feel obligated to turn your lights low to appease the discontent of them. Keep shining, for soon they too will be inspired by your luminous glow. All right, here's the end. A strong current is propelling you forward in a positive direction steered by the heart. A path that is driven by the heart is a soul that is limitless and fruitless. Having fun during this wonderful time have fun during this wonderful time and express your beautiful soul for the world to see. You deserve it. And here is the recommended prayer. Great Spirit, I thank you for the clarity, insight, and direction I have in my life. I am grateful for this wonderful opportunity to share my unique light with the world. Associated chakra with this prayer and this card is the sacral chakra, which is the second chakra for those of us who know about chakras.
Wow.
I know. Wow.
I don't feel very shiny today.
Well, I feel a bit shinier after our conversation this morning, after I sort of like talked, because I hadn't had anyone talk to really about this mold issue in my house. So
Yeah,
I feel a little bit shinier.
that's good.
Yeah.
You know,
What is what?
I think it's a really important card because I'm just gonna tell you, like the first thing when you said the card was shine, I was like, oh crap. You know, I was like, what kind of BS is this? I don't want to hear about my light and what, how the world is waiting for it and it's so pivotal and all those things. And, you know, in some ways I think that's perfect because
Mm,
I also think that's, yeah, that we stop ourselves from things like that, or that we're like, yeah, no, not today.
mm,
Tired. I'm
mm,
tired today, and
mm.
and so I think it's interesting to remember that even when you're not feeling all of that, that you can be nothing but that anyway.
Mm, mm, yeah. Yeah. It's
I mean,
true. It's true.
yeah, sometimes it feels
Yeah.
easy and sometimes it feels like a whole lot of work. I know,
Yeah, this is true. You know, I feel like in some ways it really does feed into the conversation we were having earlier. So I think we should just let people in on it a little bit more. So I was
Mhm.
telling Robin about discovering that there is mold in my daughter's room yesterday, and so I went on this whole crusade to address it, which basically resulted in my daughter's not being able to be in the room, and the room basically being quarantined while the dehumidifier and all the chemical stuff does its work. And I was like, okay, I don't hold absolute positions about most things. And so I was questioning, I was like, how is it absolutely true that we are responsible for what we see? Our consciousness is responsible for what we are experiencing in our lives, right? Is that absolutely the case? And Robyn asked ChatGPT, what is the metaphysical meaning of like mold in your house? And Robyn, can you share a little bit about what ChatGPT
I can.
said?
Yeah, it said that mold in metaphysical symbolism often represents decay, neglect, or the presence of unwanted negative energy. It's often associated with stagnation and a lack of progress or growth. Since mold grows in neglected, unclean, or damp places, it can symbolize areas of one's life or personality that have been forgotten or neglected and need attention and care. However, mold also has a transformative aspect. It breaks down old matter and contributes to the cycle of life and death, decay, and rebirth. In this sense, the presence of mold could symbolize the need for change, transformation, or the end of one phase to make way for another. It's a reminder that growth often comes from decay and new beginnings often comes from endings.
Yep. So then she read that, and I said, okay, so F word. I don't want to say a thing, but I said F word. I said, okay, I guess my consciousness, there is an absolute connection between my consciousness and what I am experiencing in my life. But then I need to flood the bathroom also yesterday. That's what I said. I was like, so there's probably something there too. Anyway.
Of course there is, I mean, if we're looking at the signs, you flooded the bathroom because you wanted it to flow out with ease and grace. You were washing it away, and it was, I mean, I don't know. I think we're all good at creating whatever this is, these pretexts. But I do believe that on some level. You know what I mean? Because that's what you want, right? Is ease and grace and it to get dealt with.
But here's the thing, Robyn. Here's the thing. Absolutely. Because my daughter, what overflowed was the bathtub, right? Every bathroom in Australia has like a drain built into the floor. So clearly this is an issue in Australia because I've never seen this in houses in America ever. But every house in Australia, in the bathroom, there's a drain in the middle of the floor. So the water, it overflowed, but it was going down the drain, but it still filled the floor. But my daughter was in the bathtub, and so she's almost 8, and she was like calling me because I was like vacuuming something up because my whole mind was obsessed with like getting the mold out of their room. And my daughter's in the bathtub, and she's like, "Mom," but she's a giggly mom, like she's happy. So there's like bubbles up to her head, and she's like having a great time, and the water's going over the edge of the bathtub, and she's just having a great old time. And I'm just like, but also as I was like, cleaning it up, trying to push the water towards the center of the floor where the drain is and cleaning it with a bunch of towels, I noticed my bathroom floor was clean. I was like, I've just cleaned the bathroom floor is now clean. And my daughter was happy, even though we have to let some of the water out of the bathtub. So there's always a silver lining.
But that's so great. That's so great. Because when you think about it, I mean, as a metaphysician, as a person, that's always somewhat thinking along those lines, you really created a great day for her. This isn't a traumatic thing for her. that there's mold in the house, or whatever. She isn't terrible that she overran the bathroom and that the bubbles were up to the ceiling, and you made it, you created it to be a joy. And I mean, I think that's what, on so many levels, that's what we're here to do. So don't go to politics, because I'm not sure I can make the leap right now. But you know what I mean. It's like, it's finding those moments where it's like, what's the big deal? Yeah, okay, so there's too much water on the floor and blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, like you just said, you cleaned the bathroom and took care of the kids and had a moment that you're going to remember with her forever.
And the floor was clean. The bathroom floor got clean.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, after wiping it all up, all the towels, the floor was nice and clean in the bathroom, which was great. And then I was also thinking about, since we were talking from earlier this morning, I was just thinking about water. Like, usually, like from a spiritual perspective, metaphysical, energetic perspective, water usually has to do with like emotions. Water has to do with emotions. And so my emotions were overflowing. There are certain areas of my life that I've been sort of stuck emotionally, thanks to mold letting me know. Some things I'd been neglected. The fact that the mold was growing in my daughter's room. And the fact that, so like, and one of the things I've realized really just over the last few weeks is just when I was like dancing all the time, like because that was like sort of, it's still something that I love to do, but because dancing is really the like being a part of a dance community, it really is for people who don't have children or people that they have to care for, because everything is always at night. So it just doesn't work. So I don't do it anymore. And now that I'm not doing it anymore, one of the things I realized is that I have been enjoying spending time with my daughters. Like, we played Monopoly, although after playing Monopoly, I was like, I'm having second thoughts about this game, because literally my daughters turned into corporate moguls. They tried to buy up everything. And I was like, you don't have to own everything. Anyway, so there was that. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, because I think it goes right into our topic for today, which is consciousness, right? And what is consciousness, and does consciousness play a part in everything? And I want to welcome Wayne out there. He said it was a good day, eh? That's our Wayne from Canada. And yeah, I mean, it was the day with your daughter sounds good, even in the midst of, whatever it is. But consciousness. And I think nowadays, especially for those of us doing any kind of, training or work or classes or being out in the community in a spiritual way, it's like consciousness becomes a buzzword, right? It's like, I mean, I remember when I was in prac training, although this was like 20 years ago, but it's still, people, like, if you got sick or something, people would be like, oh, what's in your consciousness? Like, I don't know, there's anything in my consciousness. I have a cold, but I mean, like, so what part does all of that play? And can we shift it? And how do we shift it? And all of those things. That's what we're going to talk about when we come back.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds like a plan.
So don't go away. Just stay right here and join us back here in a few minutes on New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center, Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living, North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living, Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Your hosts are two girls who believe that life is awesome, that laughter heals, and that it's possible to find deep spiritual insights in everyday experience.
Here come the girls. It's more than practical. Here come the girls. Way more than merely factual. If you want to know the secrets of a life that's free, listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
Hello, welcome back to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Thank you, Ray Davis, for that lovely intro song. Thank you, Michael Mangus, for being our producer behind the scenes and keeping us in check. I am Robyn Rice Olmsted today. I had to decide what names were appropriate. I'm here with my co-host, Dr.
Natasha Wilson in Australia, on the other side of the world, early in the morning.
Yeah.
Googling how many calories is in tequila. There we go.
Yeah, and that was my next announcement because I knew it would give our producer great joy to know that there is indeed drinking on the show today. Natasha is imbibing.
No.
So, it's mixed with kombucha. So there you go. Yeah. And we are not condoning drinking. For those of you out there, please be safe, make good choices. We just started the show with the premise that all things are metaphysical, and there's nothing is good or bad, that we can find the good in all of it. And so we come at that from a place of joy and humor, but we know that it is also a serious thing.
Also, I don't think that there is, it's a coincidence that it's called spirits, right? And part of what I've been experimenting with is different spirits. So what is the spirit of tequila? Like, also how many calories are in it? And then what's the spirit of gin? And also how many calories? What's the spirit of vodka? And also how many calories? I'm very interested in these things these days. I don't know. Anybody? Just me? Okay, fine.
Well, no, that's what makes them. This is why it's Girls Behaving Metaphysically, because we think like this. We have a whole multifaceted thing around one little thing. But I must put breaking news in, because Wayne has lost his glasses and has asked for us to pray for him. So I'm just going to take a moment to say that I'm knowing right now that right where Wayne's glasses are, they are appearing, and he is open to see with great clarity and love and joy in his life. So glasses, make yourself known. All right, they should be there any minute, Wayne. Okay, so consciousness. So consciousness clearly plays a crucial role in our life. But how would you define consciousness?
I don't know. I always think about consciousness as awareness. First of all, that's the first thing that always comes up to me. Consciousness comes up to me as awareness. And then I also, when I think of consciousness, I think of like the sort of active part of consciousness feels to me like the active part of spirit. Because I feel like spirit, which I really feel is non-local, non-personal, right, is in source energy. I feel like also has a sort of like non-active component. And then consciousness is the activation of the sort of, it's almost like spirit can be anything. But when we become aware and we're able to make choices, then consciousness forms into experiences, or consciousness forms into something. So I think of consciousness in those two ways. One, awareness. Two, creating form from the formless experience of spirit. So that's what comes up for me.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I mean, I agree with that, of course. And I also think it allows us to evaluate different options and make choices that align with our values and our beliefs and our goals. Yeah. I mean, so it's
what do you say? It allows us to evaluate. Say it again.
It allows it. I said it allows us to evaluate different options.
Yep.
You know,
yeah.
I mean, when we have that awareness, you know, and make choices that align with our goals and our beliefs, our desires, our values. You know what I mean? So somehow. So what came into my head was, if I was like looking at an active picture, like of consciousness, it would somehow almost be sewing. Like I saw a needle and thread, like sewing and pulling together, like, you know, like going for your value to pull it over to align with whatever you're thinking. So weird that I saw in pictures, but you know what I mean. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I think it aligns with what I said I sort of think about as consciousness, because I first think of it as like awareness. And then I think of it because I feel like when you say like evaluating different options, I don't think without the awareness, we don't evaluate different options. We're kind of on autopilot, right? So when we become aware, I feel like there's a conscious movement on source energy to sort of create or form a thing. And so I do like the idea of sewing, and, you know, but it's also, yes, it is about choice, because it is like, this is what consciousness is like. This is, I am consciously choosing this particular option. I'm consciously choosing to think about this thing this way. Just like mold, I'm consciously choosing to experience this or look at this experience of mold as this thing, right? So it's like this conscious aware, like there's an awareness to it, as opposed to just going on autopilot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right. So the question came up, how big a part does consciousness play in our life? Is it really? Well, yeah, let's just start there. How big a part does consciousness play in our life?
Honestly, Robyn, our whole conversation about mold this morning just shifted some stuff in me. Like, honestly, I honestly think it plays a really big role. However, what am I going to say there? Yeah, I think it plays it like it clearly plays, it is a big role in what we see as the outpicturing of our life and our experience. You know where I get stuck sometimes? But then I don't. But honestly, when I think about it, I still don't get stuck there because I actually can I have a. It's true that I think I can understand it better when I look out at the collective of whatever is happening in the zeitgeist, the collective zeitgeist of the world. I feel like in that sense, I can actually see the presence of how consciousness works and how not being conscious or not being aware works. I think it becomes a bit harder for me when I'm looking at my individuated life. And I am, it just, yeah. What's coming up for you? You have that thinking look on your face.
Well, I think what's coming up for me is, so is it possible? Is it really possible to be unconscious? Or is that just our judgment about the way it should look or what someone should be conscious of?
Can you give me an example?
Well, I'm just thinking if I was to say, well, so and so is so unconscious. Is that true? Is that true can we be unconscious? Clearly, don't get me wrong. There certainly is the appearance of unconsciousness going on the planet all over the place. But is it true? Is it real? Is that me judging that someone should know what I know or think like I think? Or how can we? So okay, if we go to consciousness and Michael, I could feel you itching in your chair. If you want to jump in at any point, you can. Just so you know, it's hard to keep a minister out of the conversation sometimes. But if God is consciousness and it's all God and we're all God, then it's just like saying there's no right and wrong. There's no good and bad. It's all, it's all a cry for love. It's all love or a cry for love, whatever. So how can there be unconsciousness if that's the case? I have no more to say.
Yeah, is the minister going to weigh in? Because otherwise I'm about to weigh in as an academic.
Okay. Go ahead and weigh in. Academics are relative. Go ahead. Oh, there he is.
No, I'd like to yield my time to the gentle lady from Australia. Go ahead.
Okay, so we're gonna be like the House and the Senate. The minister is yielding his time. Can you be like Maxine Waters and be like, I'm reclaiming my time, reclaiming my time?
I'll do that in a moment. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Robyn, can you ask your question again though? Seriously. I really want to hear it. I want to take it fully in.
Can we be unconscious? Is it possible to be? Is it possible for there to be unconsciousness? I don't know what my question was, but that's the gist of it.
I think relatively. I think relatively. Remember I was saying for me, I don't usually think in absolutes. in general. I don't think in absolutes. I feel like everything is kind of relative. So I think relatively, yeah, we can be unconscious. But if we engage with consciousness, or we engage the divine from a space that knowing that the divine is everything, everything is made up of the divine is in everything, and everything is in the divine. And if we define the divine as consciousness, then from an absolute position, I feel like the answer is no.
Okay.
So it's relative.
Yeah. Michael, do you want to say something?
First of all, when you said earlier, someone said that when people come up to you and say, well, what's in your consciousness? I think that that's extremely offensive. And that is for me, shows a lack of spiritual maturity within the individual saying that.
Do people say that?
Oh, absolutely.
All the time.
Absolutely. And I think, yeah, so I know in my community, anybody that says that or gets me having them take them aside and say, we don't do that kind of shaming here. And so I think that again, life is a state of consciousness. That's what is said. And that I think that things that would like to be known come up in our awareness, either as things or sometimes dis-ease, or to have us to take a look at it. Now, again, this isn't something that some deity outside of ourselves brings up, but the whole idea of us unfolding as spiritual beings, of us, again, of unfolding our awareness. So I think for me that, when people say, well, what is consciousness? And I just tell them it's the sum total of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And that a lot of the things that in your consciousness, the reason that you are experiencing a lot of things, and again, I put that in quotes, a lot of things, is because that there are things in your consciousness that, if you want to, you can go ahead and examine them and say, well, like you're picking something, you're picking like fruit. Say, well, I want this, but I don't want this. So I think it gives individuals a state of being powerful that, again, that before coming into New Thought, I did not have. So then when I take responsibility for my life, and let me say that is taking responsibility for my thoughts. That is taking responsibility for my thoughts. So when I go ahead and I take no matter what happens on the outside, when I take responsibility for my thoughts, then again, the outer conditions then tend to take care of themselves. They tend to disappear. And so so that's, I was working with a colleague the other day, and I was asking her, well, how was she doing with all of the stuff going on? She said, Michael, she says, I just thank God I'm in this teaching, because I focus on what I want rather than what I don't want. It doesn't mean that the stuff is not happening, but she said that what it does, it helps her manage her energy. So, and the views and opinions expressed are those of my own, not those of you or anyone else. Okay, I'm going to let you guys go back to your show.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that for me, for the listening to those answers and just summing up what I feel, because I think that it's one thing if I say, oh my God, I was so unconscious, or I did something unconsciously, because that may be describing a state of mind for me where I wasn't, totally focused on something or totally clear or whatever. And just like with what's in your consciousness question, that kind of a tone becomes more of a judgment. And I know Michael was saying, he explains to them, we don't, say, or that people, don't have that spiritual maturity. And I would say too, yes, definitely spiritual maturity. And I would add to that understanding of what it means, because I do remember like going through classes and like when you're learning about, you come out of classes going, oh, I'm responsible for everything, and you have this new awareness or awakening to that. And then, so later when you go to somebody, what's in your consciousness? I don't know that it's always really, from that judging place as much as it's really from a place of not being able to express it in a spiritually mature way and it sounding bad, because it does. Anyway.
That's so interesting. This conversation is interesting. Just it's sort of like as like a insider outsider to New Thought. In some ways, because I never really had the full opportunity to ever really be a part of in an ongoing way, part of a sort of New Thought community. Like I'd visit Agape, because I never wanted to move to LA, but it really spoke to me. And other science of mind communities or religious science communities or unity, but never really being a part of those communities in a sort of ongoing way, even though I've taken classes. And so I feel it is interesting because I guess I've thought about it and maybe I felt it to a certain extent, but I've never had it directly expressed to me. Like if something is happening in my life, for instance, like the mold, like, but I can see how asking someone what's in your consciousness because of something that they're experiencing in their reality or their relative reality can be shaming. I didn't even like, but I can see that, and I can see that. But also I think one of the things I feel like people struggle with, and I can only talk about my experience with people who have been socialized in the Western world, is that we really struggle with nuance. And I think in order to engage this concept of consciousness and God as consciousness, and God as not being this thing that's outside of us, but this thing that is both in us and that we are in, that is how I experience the divine, that comes out of my experience with New Thought and my study. um, uh, it would never occur to me to have someone come to me having a certain experience in life and be like, what's in your consciousness? Like that, like, like, and then when I think about a lot of things that are happening in the world and like politically, and the people who are on, like I work with this older couple, and both of them received letters from the Social Security office. I think it was last month, that said that their Social Security payment would either be reduced or delayed, and it would just never occur to me to ask them what's in your consciousness.
But yes, I hear you, and I agree with you. But let's just break it down just a little bit more, because like let's say we're having the conversation about mold, you and I today, just like we were. And if I said to you, okay, hey Natasha, really, so what's going on in your life? What are you thinking? What's on your mind? And if you had come back and said, man, I'm just thinking about how it just so much change is happening, and I really want to just clean everything out and start sparkly shiny new. That's really the same question. I mean, You know what I mean? It's like,
No, say it again. No, I don't know. Can you say it again?
if I had said to you, so what's going on? What's going on? What are you thinking about? What's in your head? What do you think the mold means? And you would come back and said, I just really need to clean up. And, I really, as our family moves into this new transition, I'm ready for some change, some shining up, some cleaning up. Some version of that. I'm just making it light and easy. It's really the same as, to me. I mean, obviously it depends on who's asking and what's behind it. But, I think that sometimes the question can be as simple as, it's the same like pulling a card. What do you think that means? Why is mold showing up? Just that's why we looked it up. We're like, what does mold mean? You know what I mean? Or I have an ache on my little finger. What does that mean? And then we look at the meanings and we go, huh, yeah, I could see that. And so I don't think having the things, if it's all in our consciousness, I don't think it necessarily means like it's bad. We've thought bad and horribly, and now we're going to see that. It just means.
But I think there's a fine line there that we have to be mindful of. That's what I'm saying. So, like, I think there's a fine line, and I think what we struggle with a lot in our in West, and I can only talk about the Western mind because my mind has been shaped by Western thought, is nuance. I think there's a place there. So like when I said I would never think to tell that couple who comes to see me for therapy that them getting that letter from Social Security saying that their payment this month would be reduced and or delayed, that had to do with something in their consciousness. That's all I'm saying. I would not say that. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, I feel like there needs to be like nuance, and we need to be able to look at how consciousness is not just about our individuated. Like it's not that, like, because sometimes I feel like, when we're fresh into new thought, and I can speak for myself. Yeah, I feel like I was kind of really egotistical in some ways. I was like, I'm gonna make this happen, and I can make that happen. And it's more complex, it's more layered, it's more nuanced. And I guess that's all I'm saying. I'm just saying there's like a fine line, and I think it requires nuance. That's it. Yeah.
I agree. Michael, what do you want to say?
Well, first of all is that I think it's one thing to tell your practitioner who's acting kind of as like your spiritual mechanic of really of what's going on in your life, and somebody from your community or your spiritual group coming up to you and just out of the blue just saying what's in your consciousness. So I think that those are two separate instances of like when you go to a practitioner that I would ask similar questions like you do, Robyn. So what do you think this means? What do you how can you relate this? I don't come out though and just say, well, this is there's something. It's the intention behind it. It's not that. It's the whole idea that what's in your consciousness, again, can come off very shaming and like, well, what's wrong with you?
Yeah,
and
I agree.
And so I think going like the way that you said it, well, okay, so you're experiencing that. What else are you experiencing? Well, I've been having a hard time with my boyfriend or my significant other. Okay, and then discuss that. So all right, I just wanted to get that real clear about. I just think that the more that in our circles, and I'm just talking about new thought circles, is that we may think that about about either ourselves or other people, but it really is not, it's not healing to say that to another person. Okay. Practitioners aren't that, the practitioners I've been to are not that blunt as far as that goes. So yeah,
I would never phrase it that way for sure. And I agree with you both on that. I just am, the only point I was trying to bring up is that I think there's still a cause, right? Even take your people with the Social Security and the checks and the money, So what is it there to teach them? Do they need to call and fight that? Do they need to have an advocate? Do they, you know what I mean? I mean, I don't know. And I'm not saying that anything's wrong with any of it. And I'm not saying that I even think what I'm saying is the only way. I'm just talking. I'm processing,
Right. I think putting it in the context of feed, again, not failure, but feedback.
Right.
So what we're receiving is feedback. So what does our wonderful teaching says? It says remove again, if it's not to our liking, again, life is a state of consciousness, and that we can change our thinking about it. And then that will change our life. Now, it doesn't mean that, all the time that you're going to remain in this body. But once you start removing the thoughts, then what will happen is that there will be utter change in your life. Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. But to go ahead and to say, I am responsible for my thought, I think that that's something which is, that's something I can be responsible for, is how I'm thinking about it. And also that we are influenced by this whole race consciousness, this whole race awareness here. So as I heal me, as I let my divinity go into this great consciousness, what happens is it's starting the shift towards the light. And I think that's what we're experiencing right now, is we're in this chaos, that there's an order. And again, what's coming forth is something really wonderful. So,
yeah. Well, it goes back to the card we pulled, Robyn, because I think that's exactly what the card is expressing, right? So when we choose how we think, so just going back to the mold and going back to the overflowing bathtub, making the choice to be like, oh, now my floor is clean. Right? That's a choice. That is a choice in my thinking, right? That's a choice in the thinking. And when we bring that choice in thinking, right, into the space, then we are shifting the energy, right? We are it's not shining like, oh, look at me, I'm twirling, but it's like we're bringing our light into the collective in some sort of a way. And we know that we're all drops in the great ocean of life. And so there's going to be a ripple. And so if our drop, when we drop, is full of light, then it ripples out, right? So yeah. I think we're on the same page.
Yeah, we're totally on the same page. It's just, it's exactly what we're talking about. It's the nuances, and also being aware of how other people respond or react or take in your words, and where your words are coming from, because there are the times when it's a snarky, what's in your consciousness, and, other times where it may just be a question. And, our job is to know that no matter what it is, we are more than that. So don't get tripped up or stuck or take it personally. We're just...
Yeah, thank God I've never had that experience. Oh, Lord, especially in the past. Somebody said that to me. I'd be like, no, what's in your consciousness?
That's right. Yep.
Any judgment there? Sorry.
So whatever, take it out into the world, use it, get whatever you got from this, you use it to the best of your advantage. We're going to sign off a little early today so that Dr. Natasha can get to her patients. And Wayne, I hope you found your glasses. If you didn't, I know They're just waiting for you. I'm wondering, what is it that you don't want to see, Wayne? No, I'm just kidding. I'm so kidding. I'm so kidding. Whatever it is. Just kidding. Anyway, we love you, Wayne. Thank you for being here. Thank you all for watching. And we will be here next week at this new time, I'm guessing. So
yes, this is good, actually. I'm so happy. No, I didn't know it today. All good.
All right. So we'll see you all either early in the morning in Australia or in the afternoon here. Thank you so much to New Thought Media Network for having us. And if you like what you see on the network, please think about joining and donating a little bit of money to keep us doing this good work out in the world and making sure that people don't go around asking what's in your consciousness. So
yeah, and if they do a Jasmine Crockett. Be like, no, what's in your consciousness? Okay, all right.
Yeah, you tell them I am a reflection of you. So back off.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Well, I don't know if I say back off. I'd be like, no, what? I'm listening. What's in your consciousness? I'm listening. Okay.
All right. Well, whatever it is, make it love. Put love in your consciousness and take it out into the world. And we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Peace and blessings, everybody.